Okay, so this is just going to be a short video on how to kind of tidy up your wiring and a couple little tricks how to make your wires look nice doing electrical stuff. I started off, I'm working on a Ford E50 tractor here. I had actually done the wiring when I was 14 and it was working, but I've definitely learned more. So it's time to redo it. I broke a couple valve springs, so kind of got into the thing. But anyway, so here's an old wire, just ugly, plain Jane. First step, now this is going to go from the hot side of the ignition key to the ballast resistor. So I'm using a 12 gauge wire. First step is I ran the wire exactly where I wanted it, marked it, and cut it so I knew it was the right length. And I got my ends here. I like using the non-insulated ends because then you can use the heat shrink on them, as opposed to, and you get a better seal than putting the big heat shrink over the insulated ends. This female end here, I actually was insulated. I just took a razor blade, sliced it right down the center, and pulled the insulation right off. That's another little trick you can do if you don't have non-insulated stuff. So now this is a wire loom. It's the nicer style. Some people call it Chinese handcuffs because it pulls, but you can push it, but then you can't pull it apart. This actually came off of a set of RCA cables that I have for an audio system that were broken, and I cut it and I pulled all this sleeving off to keep it for this purpose itself. So I got that length of that about a couple inches short on either side. I'll go ahead and cut that. Now working with this stuff can be real tricky, especially when the ends start to flare. So what I do is, see if I can hold my phone here. I got a couple different size heat shrinks here. Some smaller ones. I'm going to slide these on now on each end. This end's going underneath. This end's got to make a sharp bend, so I didn't want quite as much heat shrink on it. Then I go ahead and take the bigger heat shrink I have here. This is just basically, this heat shrink was just small enough to slide over the wire, but also small enough to where the wire loom will slide over it. Now this heat shrink tubing is just big enough to slide over the wire loom. So now I'll actually try to get this in here first. Actually, I'm doing this backwards here. Hold on. I'll do one end first. Wire crimpers, I finally got a real set. Old hand-me-downs. I use vice grips most of my life. They work fine too. Make sure they're good and tight. And always give it a good pull check. Slide that on there. With these female ends, I actually end up putting another little piece of a big end over the female side too, and then cutting it right here just to keep even that insulated. And I got this ginormous heat shrink down here. Okay, so that end's done for now. Now what I do is I go ahead and slide, pull one side back off, go ahead and slide the wire loom with the heat shrink tubing over it, slide around. Always try to leave a little bit sticking out as you feed it on. This is a short wire, so it's a little easier. What you wind up having to do though is collapsing that, and then it just shoots out that end. Collapse it there and feed it on. Going to go just a little bit over the edge of the smaller heat shrink, about 1/4 inch. I'm going to go ahead and slide this larger heat shrink over that, about halfway. We're going to give that a good old heat job here. Now, not only is this end nice and watertight, but this is not gonna fray, not even down the road, which is what always happens with these. So that's kind of the main reason I'm doing this. Then take my bigger heat shrink again, slide her over the frayed end. Take my little guy. Actually, that's kind of a big guy, isn't it? Is that the smallest one I got? It's a little longer than I need, but yeah, whatever. Slide that one on. Crimp. heat shrink that one first. You can use a lighter for this. Little torch works great. This thing works. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. It's kind of big, which I don't like because you can't get into tight areas with it. But more times than others, I find myself just using a lighter because that's what I have on hand. Then pull back our netting as much as we can. Slide the big one over. My good old Google phone here that worked for about a month. Tried to focus. You can actually see the netting start to come through the heat shrink on there. I don't know if you can see that or not from the wire loom. Because this wire loom stuff, it looks awesome, but it's a pain in the ass to work with, and it doesn't hold up. The ends come apart, and once the ends come apart, that's basically just game over. So this is my solution to fix that. I actually cut that a little bit short. I should have left that wire loom a little longer. And so going from this, which I'm not a fan of these insulated ends anymore, just sloppy, dirty looking, to my new wire. Nice and clean. Go ahead and show you where I'm going to run it here. Nifty little thing. I actually used a drill bit container for a fuse panel. That's mounting right there. Slides up. Anyway. So, I'm going to run this through yonder. Actually, I'll show you the end here. The end trick too. Take just a little bigger piece of heat shrink here. Slide her right onto the female end. One-handed. I normally cut it down, but I've only got one hand here, so. Actually have somewhat watertight end here. Clip that onto my ballast. A little bit of a kink there. And then we got a nice clean looking wire. I've been doing it with a few here. This is a little mismatched for now, but the alternator. Oh, the coil side looks nice. It's just so much more professional looking. Goes up to ballast. So, that's my little how-to video. I don't really know if it's going to help anybody. This is my first time doing this, so videos anyway. Hopefully this helps somebody. Take apart your RCA wires, or your friend's RCA wires, because usually the nice ones have that sleeving on them. And yeah, pull all that material off so you can get your nice small Chinese handcuff type wire loom. They do sell the bigger shit at parts stores, but it actually doesn't work quite as good in my opinion, and it's actually open on one end. So I've been loving using this stuff here. It's just going to be a much more tidy wiring harness for sure. This old girl's been through hell. Great grandfather bought her brand new 55. Finally broke a valve spring. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. Buy me a new car.